From Del Rio, Texas, Rob Wade and Robert Garza. Two guys who dive. This episode of Two Guys Who Dive, recorded live Saturday, 22 November 2014, episode 122. Black Friday, it's not just for Fridays anymore. And here we are once again with another exciting episode of Two Guys Who Dive, and I am your host, Rob Wade, and I'm joined with
Robert Flamingo.
Yes. So, as the temperature is all over the place the last week or so, it's just been crazy. I'm just now getting over cough and sinus and all this weird stuff. Well, I always have allergies, but exactly.
Yeah.
Tara was dealing with that big time. It was just taking her out for several days, and then it started to hit me, and I rebuked it, and basically just kind of chilled out and rested as much as I could, sleeping in a kind of a 45 degree, so it doesn't like rest. When that starts to drip and work its way, you start feeling the sore throat, and then it starts to work its way down to your chest, and you feel that tickle that as you take a deep breath, and it starts that incessant cough.
I know the feeling. Trust me. I've had pneumonia. I know exactly what you're talking about.
So I was like, okay. And so really I find that standing up, I'll go into coughing fits, or laying completely down, I would go into coughing fits. So sleeping is just in a regular bed is just not a doable thing.
Right.
So thankfully we've got pretty comfortable recliners out there. And so just sleeping in a 45, I'm able to get at least enough rest. Oh gosh. If you hear sounds like blocks or bricks dropping in the background here, it's because one of our dogs is playing with it's a solid plastic yellow bone to chew on. And of course we've got tile throughout the house now, and it's just a crazy clink, clink, noise. It almost sounds like one of the tiles is gonna break.
Yeah. Actually, it sounds like a kind of like a little piece of wood or 2x4 slapping around.
Yeah, the dogs are beating each other with. Yeah. So and then we had just this big cold front come into Del Rio and really knock the temperatures down. Just it's like, okay, global warming. Yeah, right. And then now another front comes through, and we've got all this rain that we got today, which means, of course, that visibility in Lake Amistad is going to be pretty much zero with all the runoff from this. So how's your week been? What have you been up to?
Well, just work, luckily enough. And
good to be employed.
Yeah, it is. Just staying busy, actually. I've had a lot of stuff going on at work.
When you say a lot of stuff, what do you mean?
I'm actually, I'm in the middle of an investigation right now.
Oh wow!
And it's
that's cool. So like CSI and all that.
Without the dead body.
Oh, that's good.
But
that's very good.
There is a body involved. It's still
a student
alive.
Body is the problem.
Student body, which is nice. A good thing. It's just taking its toll on me mentally. It's funny. You do your job for so long. I've been doing this for 21 years. But when you actually don't get your hands wet because you're in a supervisory role,
right,
per se, it's real easy to tell somebody, hey, go ahead and take that case, and you kind of forget some little details, and those are the ones that actually come back and bite you, the small little details.
Yes.
And, it's taking its toll on me. I did an initial invest.
Right.
And then come back that I had to go back and reconduct the whole investigation thing.
Wow.
And it's gone from something really small. Well, actually the the actual offense was really big, but it just got huge now. And now it's like
when you start to peel back the layers and uncover things, you realize there is more to this than meets the eye.
my whole thing is, okay, I did a thorough investigation the first time and presented my findings. And then they said, well, you know what? We want you to go back and revisit this and see if you can check this angle. Well, no problem. Okay, you know what? You want me to go out there and spend real solid time? I'll kick over every rock. I'll look under every branch.
Exactly. How many rocks would you like me to turn over?
Well, you know what? I got upset. So I kicked over every rock.
Oh, boy.
And needless to say, it's ugly.
Wow.
So the problem that I'm having with this is just, like I said, it was a lot of work, going back and forth, talking to people, getting, written statements and phone calls. And it's just been a long week for me. And I wanted it to be like easy because it's the week before.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
I'm off all next week. And then I'm also teaching a CPR class on Monday.
Yeah.
For the city, for the police department. And to get all that ready, and I didn't have time, so I've just been overwhelmed this week.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Cool. So
yeah, that's been my week.
Yeah. Well, we've been, I had a week off. I had a lot of use or lose leave, so playing catch up after that is always interesting. You go back into the shop and you realize stuff that you kind of expected to have your folks to get done before, by the time you got back, and you find out it's not done. You're like, okay, following up, and come on, guys, some initiative here. So, it's been an interesting week, herding the cats a little bit there. Yeah. And then, of course, gearing up for the holiday, for Thanksgiving week.
Right.
As a supervisor, I kind of defer to letting my employees have the first shot as far as time off, and then I take what's left over. So, they've been kind of setting themselves up for that. We'll see. So next week ought to be pretty light. I'm off actually Monday because I've got so much use and lose to leave. I'm basically taking like Fridays and Mondays kind of thing off. And then of course Thursday being a holiday, it's going to be a light week. Friday I'll probably be sitting there twiddling my thumbs because there'll be nothing to do. But let's see, quick update on last episode. I kind of got off on my soapbox about taking care of pets and volunteering for pet rescue in the Del Rio area. And I had sent a letter in to the editor of the Del Rio News Herald. And, of course, it's just 5 people, I think, read that. But I thought, there's just one more avenue I can get the word out of how that this is a problem and that I don't understand why more people aren't helping out. Well, it got attention. I got a phone. I'll not share the name. Eventually, it'll become obvious because of some initiatives that may. Oh, great! Your camera may be off. Because of initiatives. Oh, it's not too bad. I do love this little preview feature that they added to the newer versions. As we've got this live scene that you're seeing the full camera view. I noticed that one of our dogs bumped the tripod for the camera that focuses in on Robert, and so I can actually hover the mouse over a particular scene, and it brings it up as a slightly opaque picture-in-picture, and so I can preview to see if it needs adjustment. But luckily it wasn't too bad. So
very good.
So anyway, I had a phone call, had a message waiting from one of our city council people.
Ooh.
And this person was saying how he and his wife have this is a sensitive area for them as well, and one of the many things he wanted to work on was how we can improve this situation. So we discussed quite at length a number of different potential initiatives, and one of the things that we both both kind of got excited about the potential for is maybe putting forward a suggestion for an ordinance to require pets to have their tags. Most cities that I've ever lived in, you have to have what they call a license, and it's basically the rabies tag for your dog or cat, and that's more from a public health issue. So if you know if a dog happens to be stray and they're current on their they're current on the rabies tags, if you get bit, the worst situation you have is a liability for injury and inability to control your domesticated animal. But you're not going to be worried about having to go through all the machinations of checking to see if you've contracted rabies or anything.
Right.
But from my point of view, it's if your dog or cat gets out and somebody like me who's willing to attempt to capture and return your pet to you, it's easy to do that. And animal control, same way. It's easier to do that if all we have to do is look at the tag, because they've got a number on them, and then contact the local vet that issued that tag and say, who's this tag number belong to? Oh, this is Mr. Jones at whatever street. Oh, okay, great. I'll return them to him. But so that is an idea that we both agree on. So we'll see if there's some legs on that. Another thing is that we both got hot under the collar about, as we discussed it, is people in this town are horrible about just chaining their animals up outside 24/7. And so I would love to see a no chain law or ordinance in this city. If you're going to own a pet, you need to have the proper environment for them to have a healthy, and not just physically healthy, but emotionally healthy. If you've ever seen animals that live in an extremely confined period or area for a long amount of time, you see that they actually do develop psychological tics. They will start certain behaviors that are examples, or what's the word I'm looking for, are indicative of them recognizing a limited area that they have to move in. And the bigger the dog, especially, the more dramatic and acute this behavior becomes. And potentially they can be much more territorial and violent.
More aggressive.
Yeah, more aggressive because of that. And it's just, how about if we chain you people up to a 6-foot chain for 24/7, 365 in all this kind of weather? How about if we treat you like that? You don't like it. And, I'm not a tree hugger by any stretch of the imagination. And I'm not one of those, you'll never find me supporting PETA unless it stands for people eating tasty animals. But, I'm an omnivore, so I will eat meat from animals that have been raised for that purpose. But we've domesticated pets, so it's nice to know that, and the city council person is looking for ways that the city can help partner with Del Rio Friends of Animals, A Pet's Wish, a number of other related and animal control,
right?
Get a partnership going that helps make this situation better. So part of it's an awareness thing. Part of it is no kidding. We clearly have to we have to tell people who clearly don't have the common sense to do the right thing with their animals, and then we need a mechanism for those who would like to help in some way but are not sure how they can connect. Because the way he expressed it, and I get this, the way he expressed it is that there are people who are willing to help, especially donate money, but they need a convenient way to do so, and they would be more likely to donate money to help cover the costs of maintaining these kinds of shelters, etc., than to volunteer time. And he said, he asked me if you were to prioritize, because he's all about prioritizing. If you were to prioritize a way to help this situation. How would you do it? And I said, well, if I had to pick a either or situation for the very first thing to do, just to knock out, I would say it's finding ways for a lot more money to come in to help this out, because they literally live on a shoestring. They exist on a shoestring. And if we could get enough donations on a consistent basis to not only cover the utilities, vet bills, things like that, but also 2 or 3 people to actually be employed there.
Oh,
during the week,
that would be a great help.
Absolutely, that would actually reduce the acute problem of not having enough volunteers. Then when the volunteers do come in, guess what? It's a much easier job for them to do, and so they're more likely to stick with it. Not everybody wants to go in there like Tara and I do on Monday nights and go there from 6 o'clock and be there anywhere from 10 till midnight. That's 4 or 6 hours that we're spending on one night a week. That's all we can really afford to give them. But if there was somebody there working on a regular basis that could take care of the regular mundane stuff, so that the surge kind of things of the feeding, the watering, and the taking out, putting them back in, that kind of stuff is handled by volunteers, that would be much easier.
Oh, yeah.
But it all comes down to if they can get enough funding to handle that. And I told him right off the bat, I said, I understand as a city council person, you may want to look for at ways that public funds can go towards this. I said, I am, as a capitalist, as a constitutionalist, I don't believe we should be making people cover these kinds of things. It should be something that people are encouraged, driven. Even as far as I'm not above shaming people into doing it, as exemplified by my rant last week, as well as the letter to the editor that I did. But the thing is, but he suggested maybe kind of like you can with the elections, although I think they're doing away with that, where you can donate a certain amount of your refund to elections.
Really?
Something, yeah, he's looking at something, well, maybe some way where people could say, you know what, I'll include a couple of bucks from my water and sewage bill or something like that. Something that people pay on a regular basis, but that would be relatively painless and easy to do, set up as an automatic thing that you do.
Mm-hmm.
And it'd be amazing with $40,000 or 40,000 people in this area, you figure if most of them gave a couple to $5 for their as part of a donation to go, not just for a pet's wish, but to cover that because he wants to turn the animal control into a no-kill shelter.
Oh.
But I said you can't do that unless you have the facilities and the people to cover that as well, because it's a huge responsibility. Come down to a pet's wish and see just living off from dollar to dollar and volunteer to volunteer, how that works. And you're wanting to have the city assume a certain level of that responsibility, working in partnership with the nonprofit organizations in town. I told him, I said that is not a minor undertaking. When you say it's a no-kill shelter, now you are holding on to animals, and it's a big responsibility. It's a lot of work.
Yep.
So, but I was encouraged, and he indicated that he's not the only person on the council that is sensitive to this issue.
Cool.
So I'm excited, not holding my breath.
Well, yeah, that was going to be my that was what I was going to come back with is, it's all fine and well, wanting to do these things. But like you said, there is time, there's money. Money's always the killer of all.
Yep.
And the other question is, okay, if everybody agrees to it, everybody can be on the same page.
Yeah.
But then it comes down to a matter of the financing, and it's like, okay, where are we going to get this from?
Exactly.
So, unfortunately, we all as human beings want to do the right thing, the best things. Well, for some people.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Some people want to do that, but we always run into the same brick wall, and
right.
I'm kind of curious, but we'll see if they're as motivated as you say they are. then I'm pretty sure they're going to do something.
Yeah, they definitely want to have a they would like to see something presented to the city council, and so I've already been working with the folks that run a Pet's Wish, and I gave them the rundown on the conversation, and I said, you need to come up with a needs assessment. You need to, as any nonprofit should do, I said you need to really go down the list of all the things that a Pet's Wish is covering, because I know there are things that they do that, with Tara and I, as consistent volunteers as we are, we're not privy to.
Mm-hmm.
But we donate time and money, and we bring supplies, things like that. But I said you need to come up with a needs assessment and show, be able to present to the city council and anybody else who would like to maybe set up a grant. Here are the things that we do every day, every week, every month, every year. Here's what it costs us to do this. Here's the average of our vet bills. Here's the kinds of things that we end up covering, taking care of, so that when you make and of course, the head of Pet's Wish said, I can do that. I'm not comfortable getting in front of people. I said, I got you covered there. I am perfectly fine getting up in front of people and presenting and instructing. So I said, you pull the information together. I'll help fill out any, as far as the way it needs to be presented, I'll kind of play devil's advocate, because I can anticipate the kinds of things that they would probably throw at you as far as detail. So I'll help you with that, and I'll be happy to be the face and the voice to move forward on this. So
cool.
Well, we're going to see some that doesn't let you people in Del Rio, Texas, off the bat, especially if we get these ordinances passed. We will be looking at you folks who are blatantly violating it. So, but for those who are looking to connect, it looks like we may be able to develop some ways, some mechanisms, some processes to allow you to do that. So I'm cautiously optimistic, as they say.
Yeah, because I was gonna say, are you gonna volunteer your voice and to go up and present to the to the council?
Yeah,
it's the same thing. Some of the guys where I work, some of my colleagues are like, hey, we have certain needs that we need to address, and it's getting at the point where it's on that critical level, to where something has to get done.
Here's yet another venue for doing that. So if you can share, take this opportunity to put it out there.
You see, that's the thing. I can't because this really is privileged information.
Oh, okay.
However, there are grants and other things that are available out there to be able to obtain to obtain the items that we need in order to be more, of course, safe, more
absolutely.
Well, aside from safe, actually be more efficient at doing our profession.
I'm all for efficiency.
Being so the guys are looking at me. It was like, okay, well, obviously this would have to go in front of the school board, and I'm like, okay, yeah, not a problem. They're like, but everybody's afraid to talk. I go, I'll go do it.
Yeah, exactly.
I got no problem with that.
That's
I'll go.
Right.
I just look. All I need is some information.
Yep.
I go. I'll get the rest of it.
Right.
I'll put it together in a presentation, and I will more than gladly go up there in front of these people, and talk to them. I got no problem with that.
There you go.
Kind of exactly like you said. I'm comfortable
in front of people.
In front of people, and I don't mind, especially if it's something that's going to benefit me.
Yep.
Of course, I'm all for it.
Well, and a lot of people can get behind and become the voice or the face for something that they're passionate about, that they actually believe in. You see a lot of commercials where they're a paid spokesman. Okay.
Yeah,
because they're very good at what they do.
Right.
But there's something about somebody who's articulate, but also is actually, I like the company so much I bought it. That kind of thing. Spatula City. I like their spatulas so much I bought the company. That kind of a thing, where you actually are somebody who wants to support something, and you're able to be articulate enough to share the need to the people who can provide.
Well, I mean, aside from helping me, of course, it will help everybody, and it's in the benefit or in the best interest of the community.
Yeah, and the school district.
Yeah, and the school district, to be able to get these items that are needed. But I have to approach it with kid gloves, because there is some, like everything else, politics involved.
Oh, of course.
So, but, the biggest thing is that people are afraid to go up there and do the whole presentation thing. I'm like, I'll do it. I got no.
You just give me the information that we're going to talk about. Right?
Yeah, give me the information. I'll put it together. I'll do a couple of dry runs,
right,
and then I'll go up there and I'll gladly just do it.
Awesome. So cool. It's just too bad you can't share what you're.
Yeah, I'll share it with you off camera,
right.
But unfortunately, because
can't
I do
put
know
it in the public.
Right, because people do see this, and I don't want to be the person that you at home.
This was supposed to be off the record.
Well, no, it's not even that. It's like you guys are gonna run over there and start asking questions, and I don't think they're ready for that yet.
You can't handle the truth.
Exactly, you can't handle the truth.
So. Okay, well that's awesome. So that's the update on that. Any movies that you've seen since?
I've been working. I've not been able.
You haven't even seen Interstellar yet?
No.
You need to go see it before it goes away. You gotta go see it. Let's see. This week, matter of fact, going on right now. Today is the last day. Matter of fact, they're doing probably the moving into the evening party wrap up stuff for the DEMA 2014. So. They have some videos and stuff of different things. They get the keynote and some of the other things. So for those who divers are interested to find out what was going on at DEMA, if you go to demashow.com, they've got some videos and things like that up so you can just kind of see what was shown off. One of these days I've got to get out to one of those because you always come back with free goodies and lots of demos, and there are a number of new products that were supposedly being revealed. It's kind of like going to the Mobile World or E3 or some of those. Yeah. You see the big reveals of stuff. So DEMA is the diving manufacturer's version of that. So they're doing the wrap-ups. I know Patty, the organization that we're certified through, they like to do a big gala party, semi-formal kind of thing going on the last night. So that's probably going on right about now. And they do awards and things like that. Yeah. So, and as I mentioned earlier, we had a big rainstorm this afternoon that they said, I was expecting it sort of, although, when they say it's 80% chance of rain, in Del Rio, it's like, well, are we really going to get that rain? So. But we did. It was a pretty loud thunder boomer this afternoon.
It was a lot.
I was actually
lightning.
down in your neck of the woods this afternoon. This morning, today's just been very busy. Yeah. We're practicing with Living Water Sound for our Christmas concerts that we're going to be doing in various places around the town in December. Oh, something's got the dogs riled. Mm-hmm. And then I went down to past Givens Street. Down there to help a friend who was he kind of messed his computer up, and I was helping him recover. That's what happens when you go to websites that you click on. Yeah. Don't click on that. Even when they tell you should click here, no, that's like hey, pull my finger, Yeah. But he's one of those that does that. So unfortunately, that kind of left his. He just placed the big old kick me sign and invited people to do bad things to his computer, so I had to help get it back to a usable state. Thankfully, it was not rootkitted. I was afraid. The way you described it to me, I thought he got rootkitted. I'm like, we'll be wiping your machine. Yeah. But luckily, it wasn't. It was just the stupid redirecting websites kind of stuff. Yeah. You've seen that before. So, so that took up a big chunk of my afternoon. I came back here and prepped for the show. So,
well, pretty much all of my afternoon was, like I said, I'm getting ready to do the class, so I'm getting all the material ready, all the books together, and just getting everything ready. Looking at the lesson plan, since it's for a law enforcement agency, I actually have to do a lesson plan, which it's pretty much already there. I just have to put it in.
Now, whose materials are you using?
EFRs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm fully kind of like you have your mobile shop. I have my mobile CPR class. Yeah. The only thing is that I've pretty much, it doesn't come with it, as you know, right. But I created a PowerPoint to make it easier, as since I'm doing a
How are you showing that? Do you have your own projector that you're? Oh, cool.
Yeah, I bought my own projector. I have a laptop that I use for training. Because not only do I do the CPR portion of it, but I also do law enforcement classes for other guys. So I'm self-sustaining when it comes to the instruction aspect of it. I even have a Bluetooth speaker so that you can hear all the sound.
Nice,
I got everything set up.
Cool.
And so I'm just.
What kind of Bluetooth speaker are you
jumping
into the tech stuff?
Harman.
Is it one of the ones that they sell at Walmart?
No, it's actually a big.
Because they have a Harman type Bluetooth. You know, they got that one wall there by the layaway side. All these different Bluetooth speaker systems. I've been tempted to kind of.
Well, there's one that's there, and you know how they have the Beats. Okay, those things are overpriced unless you get the.
No kidding.
The actual headphone Beats, those sound awesome, but the pill ones, those are a waste of money. Don't spend your money on that because those things are about $400. They have one there. It's a JBL.
Yeah.
Speaker. It's like a little box. It's $99. That thing sounds better than any of those Beat Audio or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's $100. And that thing sounds awesome. I mean, it's of course Bose is the good brand, but
Tara's got one of those Jambox, the Jawbone Jambox, and that sounds really sweet. And it was only like $120. But
the Jawbone, the little ones.
She's got the mini. Okay, not the big one, but she got the mini, and it sounds awesome.
Yeah, well, the big one. Okay, you've heard the big one. It sounds picks up that awesome bass. Okay, well, that one that I told you for $99 sounds just like the Jawbone, the big one.
That's awesome.
So there's
for $99.
Mm-hmm. And I have been looking for it here at Walmart. They didn't have it. I just came from there, and now they have a bunch of them.
Do they?
I couldn't believe it. You know what? I think I'm going to put it on layaway just to have it.
Well, speaking of that, I really didn't have any tech news per se, but now that we're kind of in that, and the title of the episode is Black Fridays. It's not just for Fridays anymore. Mm-hmm. The hullabaloo about that, of course, is that there's a kind of controversy growing about a number of businesses that are now choosing to be open on Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And so a number of folks that normally were used to spending that day with their family are having to work. And it's all to, the almighty dollar. They're trying to get the one up on their competition.
Well, Walmart is like that. They did that last year. Actually, they had a sale that started at 6:00 last Thanksgiving.
I thought I guess I'm misremembering then. I was thinking that they opened at like midnight or something like that.
No, so I want to say I think it was 6:00.
Wow,
6 or 7. It was in the evening, and it was okay after you had your Thanksgiving dinner or whatever. You could go over there and look around. And then of course the big sales were after midnight or something like that. But they were open at 6.
Yeah.
I know because I remember we ate early last year and we're like twiddling our thumbs. Okay, like what do we do? Okay, well the football games are over, and I was like, I'm kind of bored, and I'm kind of hungry. So what do we do? Let's go to Walmart. Let's go check it out. So we ended up going over there.
At what time?
I want to say it was around 8:00 in the evening. Huge mistake. I mean, that place was like crazy.
Yeah, people get hurt shopping Black Friday or now Black Friday Thursday.
Black Friday Thursday, yeah.
It's a week of Black. And of course, now you see online, there's just tons of Black Friday. Black Friday starts now.
Yeah, sales. So anyway, real quick, just going back. So I didn't get a chance to see any movies because I was prepping for all this and getting all the material and all of that stuff ready. So, the lesson plan. I pretty much have to take our instructional manual that we have for our instructor and put it into kind of like a training format just so that I can provide it to the state. So,
really?
Yeah, they can give them credit. And all it is just pretty much, like, okay, it's just a simple format.
Yeah. Kind of like an outline.
Yeah, it's an outline, and all I'm doing is, okay, this is what I'm covering in this block. Just write it down, and then just give it to them, and that's good. Oh. So that's what I've been doing.
Cool.
But anyway.
Awesome. Let's see. What was I going to hit on next? Oh, kind of slipping back. Just tagging on a little bit to the Black Friday and the tech news. Showed you my wife's
Yes.
new tablet, the eFun Next Book 10.1. Again, for those who didn't happen to see the episode, Walmart has started selling the Windows 8 version of the Next Book that eFun actually has a bunch of various sizes and types with the Android operating system. And they actually do have if you go to their tablet section, they have nothing but Android stuff there, and they have the Next Book of those. And Troy purchased two, one for Jennifer, one for his daughter for college, and he ended up buying another one for himself. So now they have three of those things in their household, and he was doing the order online, ship to store. Well, they actually have them in the store. They just aren't displaying them.
Oh.
They have them behind the counter. So if you go, you can just simply say, do you have any of these? And they whip it out there. Our bass guitarist on our praise team, now that our praise team basically has now gone to tablets to doing all our charts, our sheet music, he finally he tweeted or texted us late last night. He's like, I'm a new owner, and he had a picture of that. I mean, $179 for a 10-inch tablet, decent enough features if you're not looking to take pictures with it.
And it comes with a keyboard.
And it comes with a keyboard. Pretty decent little unit and perfect for that kind of thing. $179, just can't beat it. So I remember you mentioned you might get one of those for Brandon.
Yeah, for Brandon to have, because
so you can get your tablet back.
I can get my tablet. Then I have a use for that thing. Trust me.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'll
sure. But every time you turn around, it's like, where's my Brandon? What'd you do with my?
Yeah.
Now you can see. Here's your own.
Yep.
Go watch your YouTube videos, watch your TV shows, whatever. You can play your games, and now let me have mine back. So, it's kind of like me with the Surface Pro. So Tara's been getting used to that, and really been, she'll sit there in the living room and just be able to check like her scrapbooking stuff. She'll order stuff with it, and it works really beautifully for that, and it's got decent battery life with it and everything. So. So I imagine those will be selling like hotcakes as long as people know that they're there. But they need to put a display up for those things. And supposedly the mini version is going to be an 8-inch or 7-inch version is going to be available for Black Friday at $99.
Oh wow!
So no, that's not going to come with a keyboard, but it does come with the 1-year subscription to Office 365. And
cool.
What a deal! What a deal!
Yep.
So, to diving type stuff. One of the things I like to read up on is Lessons for Life, which is basically it's a feature with Scuba Diving Magazine and Sport Diver Magazine, where they kind of dramatize dive accidents that have happened and kind of share. They tell the story that probably. Because it's a dramatization, the way they tell it, they expound upon the facts that are known and kind of set up by talking to other people who knew about the actual situation. Kind of fill in some information, and some of it is extrapolated because, especially if it involves a fatality, you don't know certain things that happened up to. What did they say on the show Bones? Premortem.
Yeah.
they don't necessarily what happened premortem, and they don't necessarily know what happened perimortem at the time of the actual accident. So one of the stories that they had that I thought was interesting, and it kind of will give us some opportunities to discuss. Let me check the chat room, see if there's anybody out there. They titled this one "Alone in a Crowd." Ken was growing more uncomfortable. This kind of sets up the scene. Ken was growing more uncomfortable by the minute. The current across the wreck was pushing him away from the rest of the divers. He was working hard to catch up to the group, but he couldn't seem to get his breath, and his regulator didn't seem to be working. Correctly, Ken paused for a moment to hold on to the wreck and get everything under control. Then he looked up, and he was alone. So they give some background on the diver himself. So he's 37-year-old diver, so he's not a kid.
Mm-hmm.
You know, at 37 years old, you think, okay, I've got, I should have some adult ways of looking at situations and preparing for situations. You know, there's still a little bit of recklessness there at 37. I recall, heck, I still have recklessness at 52, but you know, you have some more mature thinking processes. You would think at 37, but he was an open water diver, so he wasn't advanced or anything else. He was just open water, and he had. This is the part that should already set us up for concern. 7 lifetime dives. So it doesn't say when he got certified, but over the course of his entire diving career experience, 7 dives. Okay, so for by anybody's scale, he's an inexperienced diver. Let's see. Loved the sport, so he's enthusiastic, which usually, as most newer divers are. Looking forward to spending as much time in the water as possible. Yeah, where have we heard that before? He hadn't found a regular dive buddy. That sounds like me for the first 5 years of my diving, because I got certified in 2000, and it wasn't until 2005 that Tara got certified. So I literally was looking for any opportunity and anybody that I could go diving with. He was hoping that spending a day on the boat with the group from his local dive shop. So these are people that obviously he knew from the shop. Will give him an opportunity to connect with other divers, and he could gain experience and find an actual dive buddy to go on a regular basis with. Okay, so that's great, except, you know, that should throw some warning signs there. So here's the dive itself. So the group shows up at the dock, 7 in total. And they were the only divers on this small charter. Are you wanting down there, boy? I'm being kicked by my dog. Let's see. A few of them had been diving for several years, but none was leadership level. Okay, so in other words, they've probably done the typical situation where they do a couple of dives during the year. You know, because they've gone on a trip or some other opportunity that they had that just kind of came across. But so they've been diving for several years, but nobody in leadership of a leadership level. So they weren't rescue diver, because really once you cross into rescue diver, now you're thinking beyond yourself and your buddy. You're actually taught how to control a situation. You know, so. So that level and above really starts moving you into what would be considered a leadership level of training. Here's some talking in the background. Let's see. Everybody was trained for open water or advanced, and there were a few that had some specialties. So some were probably working towards master diver. Everyone but Ken had been diving on this wreck before, and they chatted amongst themselves about what they would see. Okay, so that's great. You definitely want to go with people in a situation like this. Go diving on a wreck. You want to dive with other people
who are familiar with the area.
Absolutely, absolutely. And in fact, we teach in the course that you should take a Discover Local Diving course when you dive in a new area. And this clearly was a new situation for this guy. So he really should have taken a local diving course, because what would have been the case there? He would have been basically doing a one-on-one, or at least a very, very small group, where the complete focus is on showing them the experience of diving in that area, what to look for, learning about the hazards, etc. So he's basically sitting there listening to all of these people who've been diving there before talk about it and kind of absorbing information. But it doesn't say that he was more interactive with them. And so one of the things that clearly was missing as part of all this was a stressing that, hey, I'm a relatively new diver here. Yeah. I've got 7 dives under my belt. I've never been here before, and I've never gone diving with you guys before. Okay. let's see. The dive master briefed the dive quickly. Okay, that was another foul. Dive master should give a very thorough briefing. I have to say, when we went to Belize, the dive master was absolutely spot on in controlling that. We had a number of folks from various countries there, who some of them were advanced divers, rescue, dive master, even instructor, who tended to kind of talk amongst themselves. And he would like stop everything. Okay, I need your 100% attention here as I give this briefing. I mean, he would stop several times. It took several dives before this person understood he is flat out not going to go any further until you shut up and pay attention, so that he knows that every single person understands what they're about to jump into.
Wow.
So this was a fail on this dive master, for just because everybody else had been there before. He kind of skirted through the dive briefing. So that's a foul. But then, unfortunately, being a newer diver, I'm sure that he did not, Ken, in this example, probably didn't feel bold enough to say, hey, wait a minute. I've never been here before. Could you give me a little bit more detail about that? And, of course, if he had done that, then the dive master would have had to make sure that graciously, that not go and not annoyed, gave that additional information. Say, oh, sorry, forgive me. I assumed that you were part of the group that has been there before. Let me back up and let's give you some more detail so you feel comfortable on it, and I know you feel comfortable about it. But that didn't happen. So dive master kind of whipped through the briefing and then told the divers to get in the water. The group decided. This is always a worry, too. The group decided to dive together as a large group rather than splitting into specific dive buddies. Never a good idea, especially when you have a new diver or somebody that's inexperienced. You need to pair them up. In fact, on a lot of the dives that we had, there were two of us as guests who are also instructors. One was from Spain. He and his family were from Spain, and he was an instructor. Although he had some habits. I thought, you're an instructor and you do that? Oh wait. So one of the things that I always take it upon myself to do is make a note of the people who are newer divers, and even if they have dive buddies, and even though we have a dive master. Not all dive masters stay close to the newer divers. They do have a bigger group to watch after. Get that. But I typically, because Tara's very good at sticking right with me, and I never have to worry about her, although I do check on her. But I also observe the people who are newer divers so that we're close enough that if something happens, I can help the situation, and even though these people are typically buddied up, but in this case, it was just a mass group, and dive masters will often give you the opportunity to say, hey, you can hang with the group or you can go off as buddies, but here's how we get back to the end point. So, but this didn't happen. It was just, okay, the group's going to decide, let's just go as a group. So there was no definitive, you and I are buddies, and we're going to be doing the pre-dive safety check. We're going to make sure everybody's gear is good and that we understand how it works.
To me, it didn't even sound that they went over the 2-minute rule either.
It gets more interesting. You're exactly right. Good anticipation. So here's what happened. So the dive master mentioned that there's a strong current near the bottom. Okay, here's what bothers me. Ken didn't know what that meant or how he should adjust his dive. Okay, that kind of bothers me. That even as an inexperienced diver, we teach that. We make a point of teaching about the currents and things like that and how you deal with it. We have specific questions about how you deal with a current, how you adjust your dive. But sure enough, what should have happened is the dive master should have not only said, okay, there's a strong current here, so here are some things that you're going to need to consider depending on how comfortable you are as a diver. And here's how you handle it on this wreck. When Tara and I went to the Florida Keys and we dove on the Vandenberg, they briefed us pretty thoroughly. There is matter of fact, they weren't going to let us dive if the current was too strong. But they said, look, we just checked with another dive boat that just left there, and they said it's a pretty stiff current, but it's not unsafe. But just be aware you are going to feel it when you get down to the superstructure. Mm-hmm. And so they gave us some things to be aware of, and they said because this has just been sunk, it's only been down in the water a month. There's a number of places that you can grab hold of things if you get tired and you can relax. Otherwise, the current, they described the current was going from stern to bow. And so as we're going to be dropping you on the bow, so you start your dive up against the current while you're fresh, which is the smart thing to do. And then that way you can kind of cruise it on back to the exit point. Perfect way to brief it. And they said at these different points, they kind of sketched it out. If you get behind here and behind here and behind here, you'll be protected from the current. So that will help give you some opportunities to rest. But, they didn't give that kind of briefing to poor Ken here. They said, oh, there's a current down here. And he was like, and that means what to me? Which is kind of scary. I feel bad that he didn't retain enough of it, or it wasn't talked about enough, expounded upon enough as part of his training. So he gets down there. Ken decided that he was going to stay at the back of the group and slightly above the divers so he could keep an eye on everyone. You never want to do that. If you're an inexperienced diver, you want to be kind of in the middle of the pack.
Yep.
Or hang by the dive master. If you're in the middle of the pack, at least they're all around you, and you have many people around you that you can signal that if you're having some difficulty. Mm-hmm. But no, he decided to hang back and watch everybody else. Unfortunately, that set him up for a fatality. Very quickly, he found that he was working hard, dropping behind, and couldn't catch up. His breathing became more and more rapid, and he felt as though he wasn't getting any air. And so Ken paused, holding onto the wreck to catch his breath. Well, that was one right thing to do, but of course, what that means is everybody else is still moving away. Mm-hmm. So you've got to err on the side of protecting yourself first. But the fact that he didn't have a buddy attached, connected with, that already meant that there was going to be a problem. But often when you're working really hard, and if you don't have a regulator that you fully understand how to use, especially if it's like ours where it has adjustable resistance, if we find that we're working hard, we can open that puppy up. Yeah. Now, a lot of your less expensive regulators don't have that adjustment, but they're supposed to auto adjust based on the depth you are. But the thing is, if you place a ridiculously high demand on some types of regulators, it may feel like it's not working correctly. It is, but you are just breathing incorrectly, right, and you're placing a demand on the system that it's not designed to do, and it creates a psychological loop.
The other thing, too, I don't know the depth either.
It was 80 feet.
Okay. It's like anything. Past 60 feet, the water's compressing your chest. Mm-hmm. So it's going to appear as though you're not getting enough air, and that's possibly true because you're not getting a full breath of air because the water pressure is, compressing your chest. So I think that's another mistake right there. I mean, you took a newbie down to 80 feet.
That's true. That's true. Now, I will say that when Tara and I did, again, going back to the Keys, in 2007, we went to Key Largo, and one of the dives that we did was on the Spiegel Grove, which is a very, very popular wreck to dive on. It's at 90 feet. Tara was only basic certified at that point. You know, she'd been certified since 2005, so she didn't have a huge number of dives under her belt. But when I contacted ahead to find out about the dive operation said, because your wife is not advanced certified, meaning that she doesn't have training for handling deep dives, two things need to happen. One, you're going to have to pay an additional amount to have a dive master assigned specifically to you on this dive, to your dive buddy team, as well as she needs to have logged a recent dive at 90 feet or deeper, which, again, there's no scuba police. So there's not somebody going there, oh, you're only certified to go to 60 feet, which is the basic certification.
Right.
And you went to 90 feet. I'm sorry, I'm taking your card. No, that doesn't happen. But I was advanced certified and had many dives under my belt. I already had 100. So I was able to take her out to Lake Amistad. And at Scuba Cove, the nice thing about that is it's a nice gradual decline. So we just gradually worked our way out to 90 feet, and she was fine. But she got to kind of experience what that is, and that other than being concerned or aware that you might experience nitrogen narcosis, that as long as you stay relaxed and comfortable, it's no different for you at 90 feet as it is at 60, as it is at 30. You just simply remain. You keep your processes the same and relax, and the equipment's going to work. So you can go. You can go there. It wasn't necessarily a foul in itself that they took him down to 80 feet, but had he been going with the kind of operation that we went with when Tara was still only basic certified, they would have said, okay, we're going to assign a dive master for you to go down to this depth because you've only got 7 dives under your belt and you've never gone this deep before.
Yeah.
So, again, another kind of a foul, in my opinion, with the dive operation. But, so poor Ken noticed everybody's gone. So he couldn't see anyone from the group. He began to get worried. And so he ascended slightly above the wreck to see if he could see the rest of the group, and immediately began to struggle because as soon as he got off the deck, the current grabs him.
Yeah.
So he's fighting against that. So he's kicking as hard as he can to get back to where he thought the other divers would be. And again, you can never go by that. If you've never been diving on a location before, you cannot assume that you're going to know where everybody was at. And so where you think you're going to go is probably a sure bet that you're going to get lost. Now, on a wreck, it's not as bad because you've got a fixed natural navigation to work from. But the bigger the boat, the more distance you have to fight with. And again, if you're not familiar with the superstructure, you don't know where you're at on the boat. Now, when Tara and I dove, especially the Vandenberg, we had a couple of things that helping us out as going on that dive. First of all, there were tons of pictures and video of them prepping the boat for sinking. Okay, so you could see all sorts of different views of the angles of the boat, upper, sides, front, back, everything. Plus the fact that it was in a movie with Jamie Lee Curtis and Donald Sutherland, Virus. And so I was familiar with the boat from that perspective. So you see a number of interior shots, which are great. So now obviously it's gutted, but you see things like, okay, I recognize where that is. So there was a familiarity we were already prepped for before we even got there. And now these days, a number of your wrecks, actually, there's a lot of websites you can go to that show you sketches or photos of it. So you can actually prep for the dive before you go. I'm betting he didn't do that.
Oh.
So, again, as soon as he lifted himself off the deck, he basically set himself up for a struggle. Now, meanwhile, not realizing that Ken was missing, the rest of the divers made their way back to the anchor line and then ascended to the surface. Now, here's what kills me. They chatted about the dive and began exiting the water when one diver saw Ken surface 40 yards from the boat, which I imagine was past the edge of the boat. They heard him call for help, and then he disappeared. So basically what happened was it took them 45 minutes to find the body. And they tried to resuscitate him, and they couldn't. What they discovered later that he had had air gas embolism and pneumothorax. He had basically burst a lung. And I'm sure that was all from panicking and coming to the surface too quick. Yeah. From 80 feet, it's deadly. So here's the things to consider. Here are the takeaways from this. When you're diving, or especially if you're leading a dive, never assume that everyone is familiar with that dive. One of the critical failures here was the dive operation assumed that because most of the people had been on this dive before as a group, because it was a dive shop that was chartered this trip. They had one newbie in there, and that newbie unfortunately paid for it with his life. So never assume that everyone is familiar with this dive. Thankfully, every operation that we've gone with before has asked, how many people have been here before and been to this site? Even if they've been diving with them all week, there were some people that kind of came in and came out during the week. Have you already done this dive before? Blah, blah, blah. So never assume that everybody is familiar with the dive. Never assume that everyone remembers everything that they were taught. No. You know, the fact that somebody was a brand new, was a relatively new diver, 7 dives under their belt, including the 4 that part of the certification.
Wow.
So there were actually only 3 dives outside of certification. So the longer the length of time since certification to the time that they're diving with you, there's a better than even chance that they probably have not refreshed any of the study materials, and it's probably a better than even chance that they have not practiced all of the skills that they demonstrated during the actual course. I know most people do not, as a habit, practice the mask clearing, which is probably that, and the regulator clearing should be one of the things that you practice on a regular basis, because anything can happen, and just being prepped for that is so key. Mm-hmm. In this case, this person clearly did not refresh their learning on diving in a current, diving on wrecks, the buddy system, those kinds of things. So assuming that this person actually remembered all that stuff was a fatal flaw on the part of the dive master. Let's see. Never assume the group will look after the group. Assign specific buddies. Assist with buddy checks. If you are in a group dive and you have an odd number and you notice that not everybody's paired up, be that person that volunteers to include them in your dive buddy, your buddy team. Really, the dive master should have been the one that said, okay, you're the odd man out and you're the newbie here. You're with me. Stick with me like glue.
And we've done that. You and I have actually done that numerous times. Yep. It's like we played the Papa Bear type thing, It's like, or you're new. Yeah, I'm new. Okay, well, you know what? I'll stick with you. Yep. And Rob will pick his person, or he actually might not pick anybody because, he is
leading the dive.
He's leading the dive. So, ultimately, and it's kind of funny because like we discuss this and it's nothing bad at all. But like when Rob teaches a course, it's a thing that he has to do, a just constant thing that he having to make sure that the students are there with him and everything else. So there's times when we go diving, it's kind of like, okay, now we can just stretch our legs, like spread our wings a little bit,
right?
Because it's good to dive and not have to be looking over our shoulder,
Absolutely.
And but numerous times I've been on a dive, and I'll ask somebody who's there with the group, and I was like, "Is this how many dives do you have?" "Oh, this is the first time where I've been here or whatever." "Okay, well, just I'll either that. If I don't tell them I'm going to stick with them, I actually do stay by them, and I'm watching them because, yeah, because we just don't want anything to happen. You know, I even though I consider myself very skillful.
Yeah.
And I think Rob will. I don't think he'll say that I'm lying. I mean, I'm very very good at my skill sets, but I don't want to have to ever use them. You know,
right?
That's the key.
Exactly. We don't want to have to rescue somebody.
I don't want to have to rescue. I mean, I can if I need to, but the thing here is to enjoy and have a great experience.
Right.
So yeah, constantly watching, and there's times when we've been doing that. It's
yeah, and when you're out on these trips with people. What should be happening, even if you happen to be with a group, let's say you're going to Belize or wherever, and if you see this kind of a situation where the dive master is not assigning buddy teams or asking the group, okay, who are you buddied with? Be the person that is bold enough to insist that happens. Say, hey, you know what? I'd like to know that there are buddy teams here because just not comfortable in a group that's just a mass.
What I probably would have done in this situation had I been part of that group and they wanted to do that, I would have, okay, fine, whatever. Would have gone down, and I still would have been, because you know me, I always tend to kind of wait towards the back. And I would have been looking around. Had I seen this individual falling behind, I would have signaled, try to make signal to the group that, hey, you need to slow down, or if they got away from us because he was experiencing some kind of trouble,
right? I
would have immediately just gone, grabbed him, and just gone to the surface.
Yeah.
You
know what? That brings up another point, too, and we've talked about this as far on a number of episodes before about accessories to get.
Yeah.
Big fan of some sort of a noisemaker, something that's easier for you to grab a hold of and use, whether it's a tank banger, or if you've got a dive knife, which you should have a dive knife. Most of those have a metal heel on them, and so you can take those out and actually just bang on the back of your tank. I like those little shakers, because they come in different designs and shapes and materials, and those are a great mechanism that if you get into trouble, if they're just clipped on a D-ring to your BC and you get into trouble, you start shaking that thing madly, that's going to get everybody's attention.
Yeah.
They're going to be looking around for, okay, who's doing that? And they see somebody in the distance there going like this, and they know, okay, there's a problem there. They're going to make a beeline for you. But this guy had no way and not the forethought to prepare for a way for self-rescue, to signal to people, hey, I need some assistance.
And then, of course, there's always the 2-minute rule that we actually, I'm a big fan of.
Well, you mean the 1-minute rule?
The 1 minute?
Yeah.
We usually do that at night, especially at night, because and we'll be talking about night dives here shortly. But and that's happened. That's happened numerous times to where, you know what, I'll just bolt to the surface and I'll just wait.
Yeah.
If I can't safely continue the dive, you know, logic will tell you, you know what, I can't find them, I can't go on, I'll just surface and just wait.
Oh, and you know what? Another thing about this is they found that he still had air in his tank. So he bolted to the surface sheerly out of panic and not because he was out of air.
Yeah, and like anything said, like during the training, always remain calm.
That's right.
Just go to the surface slowly, not faster than your bubbles.
Right.
And do your safety stop,
right?
3-minute stop, and then just go to the surface and just inflate your BC. And
that was the other thing. If he had inflated his BC when he got to the surface, he was shouting for help, and then he sunk below.
Yeah, he would have stayed floating on the surface.
First thing, and I stress so many times during the class, when you get to the surface, either orally or if you don't have air, use the oral inflation, or if you do have air, power inflate that thing. As soon as you get to the surface, that'd be the first thing. Come here. That'd be the first thing you do is get buoyant. You know, I've talked to pilots and a number of other people about, diving, and it's all about quickly assessing your situation and solving the most critical problem first. When you're flying is, do I have altitude? Have I got altitude to deal with what I've got? Okay. For divers is, do I have air? Okay, if I've got air, I now have time to start fixing the next most serious problem. If I've got altitude, now I'm a pilot, my next most serious problem is, do I have velocity to keep me going, or am I starting to fall? So then that's the next critical thing to deal with. So you work your way through the hierarchy of needs. And so when you're on the surface, the most critical thing is, can I stay on the surface? Can I stay floating?
Right.
Okay. So I have two ways that I can stay on the surface. I have a power inflator. If I don't have air, I have a way to orally inflate. And so those two things are reinforced a number of times over the course of the class. And I think as a dive master, I would be remiss if I did not include that as part of my briefing. Okay, our dive is going to take us here and here. You surface with no less than 500 psi in your tank, so watch your air frequently. I may be asking you at different points about your air, which I do. But if for some reason you happen to go through your air quicker, you watch your air and you work your way to the surface. When you get there, if you for some reason have blown through your air, make sure you know how to do the oral inflation. But either way, get positively buoyant and relax there. We will bring the boat will come around to get you. You can signal to the boat. They'll be keeping an eye out for you, and they'll come get you. But again, that kind of briefing clearly didn't happen with this guy. And so he got to the surface, screaming to the surface, even though he had air. And then because he probably at that point was already suffering from the air gas embolism, etc. And then he sunk to the bottom and he died. So if you're leading a dive, make sure you assign specific buddies and then observe those folks doing their buddy checks. Typically, you're going on 2 dives with a surface interval in between. As a dive master, if you observe some behaviors that you need to address, then take the next opportunity you can. So if it happens to be between the dives and you notice a team didn't do a very thorough job of their check, don't chastise them and say, hey, I noticed you kind of were kind of breezing through your pre-dive safety check, and I just want to kind of tell you, here's what I observed that might be able to help you in the future, because it's really important if this happens or that happens, why you need to make sure you hit all those points.
Right.
Use those as teachable moments with especially your newer divers. So, and then the last takeaway, never assume that everyone has equal or necessary skills. So give strong suggestions on how to deal with specific challenges. In the case of diving on a wreck, diving in a current. Don't assume that everybody has experienced diving in a current.
Yeah.
Even though it's taught, they may have never been in an area where there's a strong current. So they've never had an opportunity to put into real practice what's been taught to them. Because it's not something, it's about to get very crowded up here. Feet are wet. It must be still raining out there. When we teach the basic course, it's explained in the materials and we talk about it, but at Lake Amistad, there is no opportunity to experience a strong current to say, okay, let's get some practice dealing with this. Now, when I teach the advanced course, one of the things that I include is the drift diving or current diving experience, because we have San Felipe Creek, and while it's very shallow, it gives you excellent opportunity on how to deal with that and how to navigate in that kind of environment. So for the advanced course, it's a perfect thing, because a lot of people go to places like Cozumel where it's all drift diving and go to the Keys where you dive on a number of wrecks, there's going to be currents to deal with. So it's the perfect kind of thing to teach as part of the advanced course. But a lot of these divers, including the poor guy that's the subject of this dive accident, they were all basic divers. So I guarantee they didn't have that.
No.
So find out what everybody's actual skills are and make sure that they understand things that they'll need specifically to be able to do, whether it's because of strength or whatever, in this dive. If I'm running leading a dive and I notice that I've got all these big burly people with experience, and I've got this petite young girl here that is a fairly new diver, I'm going to be fairly safe in assuming that there's going to be a number of things she is not physically prepared to deal with. Yeah. Okay? So you make a point of sharing that information. Observe your people. Observe the people around you. Even if you're not leading the dive, be that person who's forward thinking, looking at the other people, and seeing if there's opportunities to help shore up that they have a safe dive and that they enjoy it. Okay, so let's see. Saw a cute little thing here I thought was interesting. Top 10 worst excuses for getting lost on a night dive. Now, we love night diving.
It's my favorite thing.
We love night diving.
You know, I get that question when I say, hey, you know what? I'd rather dive at night than during the day. They're like, why? Because it's fun.
It is fun.
You know, there's something about just turning your light off and just hearing the...
Exactly.
It's just... Then you turn your light on and you don't really see anything.
Yeah. Well,
awesome.
I was going to say, diving out at Spur 54, once you get down to the bottom there, it essentially is a night dive because so much rock is jutted out over you. You're not in a cave, but the rock literally cuts way underneath. So you're under a lot. It's not a direct straight ascent. I mean, you can just follow the angle of the rock up, but the wall, but it's essentially a night dive. I mean, you have to have your light because you will not see anything. If you've watched any of the videos that I've put up, you see that that's exactly the case. So, but here are the top 10 worst excuses for getting lost in a night dive. Okay, number 10 was, I thought all the bioluminescence was an alien life form asking me to follow it to their leader. An homage to The Abyss.
The Abyss.
Which is a great movie. I love that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Number 9, Lost? Who was lost? I was just waiting for the sunrise.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think you got enough air to do that. Although we've gotten started late enough on a dive, you almost could do that.
Yeah.
You know, it's not uncommon for us to do a night dive that we start after midnight. So, and personally, I actually like it later like that.
Yeah.
Let's see. Number 7. I was too busy mastering compass navigation to notice the shrimp trawler.
Oh yeah.
Great. No, trying to do the compass navigation. Number 6. They said to follow the guy with the black wetsuit.
Oh, and he got lost.
That had to be Dominic.
Yeah.
A ninja diver.
God, wearing all black on a night dive with nothing.
And then turning his lights out.
Yeah. I don't even want to get started with that.
That was an interesting dive.
It surely was.
Okay, let's see. Sorry, I must have dozed off. Now, I got to say, if you're really relaxed in a night dive, it's easy to get lulled. It really is.
Yeah, it is. It is, especially if you've been, because it's so relaxing. That's what I'm saying. It really is. It's really relaxing. So, yeah, I can see that.
I love this next one. The guy at Home Depot told me this light was waterproof.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
And you see a lot of those. You can go to Walmart, etc., and you'll see all these really nice lights, LED and everything, that they're waterproof. Well, that just means that if you are on a boat, which typically we're going to use them, or camping, and you drop them in the water, it's not immediately going to flood.
Yeah.
But I guarantee you that even a light that is designed to go down to 130 feet can flood if you haven't properly prepared it. Mm-hmm. And they're designed for that. So I can guarantee you one of those ones that you buy at Walmart or Home Depot, they may be waterproof, but they're actually more water resistant than
more
waterproof.
Like splash resistant.
Yeah. You could drop it at a shore.
Or use it in the rain.
Yeah.
And you'll be fine.
Yeah. If you were tying up your boat and it dropped into the water and you didn't leave it sitting there, you could probably pull it out and it'd be fine.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Hey, I did orient myself, but the big hand was pointing to the boat, and the little hand was pointing to the shore.
Oh.
Let's see. I was using my watch.
Oh gosh.
The big hand was pointing to the boat. The little hand was pointing to the shore. Let's see. Number 3. My trail of breadcrumbs was eaten.
Oh, that one's a good
They must
one.
have been diving at Balmarais.
Yeah, and those fish will eat anything.
They will, man. You just do this underwater and they come to you. Number 2, my flashlight beam is out of alignment and it makes me drift to the right.
Oh god.
And the number 1 reason, the excuse that people give for getting lost on a night dive, the mermaid told me that you went the other way.
The mermaid. I haven't gotten that one. I mean, I get a lot of questions because people know that I night dive. But
it makes you want to give some funny
Yeah.
answers to some people.
no, actually, the mermaids. There's a mermaid down there. They'll probably believe me too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I still get the question. So, aren't you afraid of maybe running into sharks down there? There are no sharks in Lake Amistad.
Exactly. I'm afraid of sharks. There are no sharks
That's
here.
right.
Don't be afraid to get in the water.
Exactly. I think, was it last week where we shared the statistics on that?
Yeah.
And you're much more likely to get killed by a cork from flying from a champagne bottle.
Yeah.
That's some outrageous. That's some outrageous champagne. It's gonna knock you out. It's gonna knock your socks off.
The outrageous inside.
Outrageous incisors. Hey Vlad, you look a little pale there, man.
I gotta find those.
I
man.
do gotta find that. That's hilarious. There's just nothing like a cool blood. And you got what's that blood you're drinking? That's just gross, man.
Where was it when I was like, just agree and let's move on?
It's just a cream. That was Will Ferrell doing
Harry Carey.
Harry Carey.
That's when we had I actually quoted that when Troy was here one time.
Oh yeah.
When we were talking about something, I go, just agree and let's move on.
That's right. That's right.
Just say yes and we'll move on.
Was eat the moon if it was made of cheese? Yeah.
Would you eat it if it was made of cheese?
Let's just agree.
You could tell when you see that.
That's right.
Jeff Goldblum was really lost.
He was
Like he
falling
really didn't know
apart.
what to say.
Yeah.
And he goes, just say yes and we'll move on.
Let's say yes and we'll move on. So, okay. So as we wind down here, Scuba Diving Magazine or Sport Diver, one of those two, had their best gear for 2014, and so here's what they, through their little scuba labs had for their top gear. So they have the OCI from Oceanic, the Cressi Leonardo. Those are both dive watches, although they're puck style. So typically you'll be able to have those put in a console. So, and then you have the Modis Icon HD. That's a cool big square full color one right there. And the Modis Smart. I'm a big fan of the Oceanics because they're reasonably priced and they got a lot of features.
I kind of like the Oceanic one. It looks nice.
Yeah, that really looks cool. Let's see. Prices. So we've got for the OCI, that's only $1,199.
Oh, God.
Yikes! The Leonardo, that's a more reasonably priced one. Is $269. Although you can get some of the lesser, the lower model of the Oceanics for less than that. The Icon HD is $1,200 plus $600 for the transmitter that you have to put on actually attached to your
tank.
first stage.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because it's a watch, so
Yeah.
it's a wearable. So that's $1,800, just shy of $2,000, and then the Modest Smart is $450, so not too shabby, but
The Leonardo's is more of a deal.
But they said that was a big favorite because being kind of what they called a low-end device, it had a lot of features they were really impressed with. So, All right, let's see next. Oops, there we go. Okay, regulators. So we've got the Bochat VR200 Soft Touch HF, the Scuba Pro MK21 or S560. I guess that's the Octo, and then the Hog Zenith. So let's take a look at the prices here. So the Bochat is $899. The Scuba Pro is $499, which is about right for a lot of their stuff. And then the Zenith is $234. So that's really very inexpensive for a pretty full featured reg. It's got both the, as you can see on the right there, it has both the pre-dive and dive mode little switch there, lever, and it's got adjustable resistance.
That is not bad at all.
No, it's not at all, and it's attractive. I like that. That
colors. Yeah.
That face is pretty cool. So, all right, so let's look at the BCs. So, all right, I have the Mares Prestige 1, but it looks almost identical to that. And then they have the Apex WTX and then the Cressi Travel Light. I tell you, I've been eyeing the Travel Light because that is truly light and it practically folds all up on itself, making it easy for travel. I got to say, as somebody who's been diving with the Mares for several years now, I like it. I feel very comfortable in it, but it is a heavy BC. It definitely accounts for a lot of the weight when I'm on when we're going on dive trips. Oh, got somebody. Oh, John Bevins jumped in on the chat there. He says, "Don't want to throw you off. My internet connection is hit or miss at best. Enjoying the show." Oh, well, glad that you're enjoying the show. It's a shame that you got bad. Shame that you got a bad internet connection there, John. I'm wondering if you've got wireless or if you've got, or if it's hardwired. I got to say, wireless tends to be a challenge, kind of a hit or miss situation, especially because we do the show in HD. It's 720 HD. So it can tend to knock the socks off of wireless.
Yeah, a little bit.
Wireless connection if you're watching it that way. So, all right. So, yeah, by all means, John, comment more on the show as you go if you want to. If you have any questions as we're talking about the gear, love to hear it. So I've been using the Mares now, and aside from the heaviness going on trips, the other downside that I discovered with mine was I've got a medium. Now, the thing about sizing up BCs, you got to make sure it's sized right for you. But be aware, and this is something I'd not run into before until this BC, but be aware that if they've got a series in sizes, the pouch size may vary. And your first clue to that, I found out after the fact, the first clue to that is that you will see on the website that they have given different sizes, that they have different amounts of weight that they can carry. Mm-hmm. Okay? So if they say, let's say the small and medium, you can put a max of 20 pounds of weight in there. And that the large, X large, and larger than that, you can put 25 or 30 pounds or whatever. Let's say it's a lot more. That should be an indication to you that the weight pouches that they use in that are smaller. I discovered that the weight pouches that they have in the medium Mares, and maybe they fixed this with the Prestige 2, but the Prestige 1, it looks like it uses the exact same pouches that I've got. The pouch size that they put in the medium is the same one that they put in the small. Now, the problem with that is it's the depth as it inserts into the BC is shorter. And so if you put a lot of lead in there, like you would if you're diving in the winter, mm-hmm. and you're wearing 7 mil full with gloves and hood and booties and all of that, and you've got 12 pounds of lead in there, or more, what happens is the way the design of the insert area where the pouch is when you insert the pouch, there's just a kind of open area inside of there behind the zippered pocket that it sits in. It's not a snug fit. So what I was discovering is when I have that thing fully loaded and I'm diving with my thick wetsuit and I'm, in the typical prone position facing downward, eventually the weight of all that lead would literally allow the pouches to flip to the outside, come almost like inside out. Now, the attach where you see the red handle, that stayed attached, but the pouch itself would literally slide and be hanging down below me. And so I discovered that if you go with the large or the extra large or XXL, the pouch length is longer, so it can't flip down. So what I ended up doing was ordering the larger pouches. I still keep as backups my smaller ones, but I ordered the larger pouches and I don't have that problem.
Yeah.
So be aware, if you want to purchase the Prestige Chew, that might be a consideration. So if you get the medium or small, you may want to make sure that they put the larger pouches on there, or buy extra pouches that are larger, so that if you dive with a lot of lead, you're not going to run into, it's kind of embarrassing to have your guts hanging out.
And I saw that firsthand.
Yeah. It's not attractive. But going back to the Ceti travel light, I've been really interested in that in the last year or so, of maybe getting that to use for when we're traveling. Because Tara's got the Diva XL Sequest BC, and that thing is incredibly light. It is very, very light, and it's attractive, and it's perfect for her. But man, my BC easily weighs twice with the same rigging. Easily weighs twice what hers does.
Yeah.
So I'm really interested in that Ceti travel light, and they've been having some awesome prices. So you can actually get that travel light cheaper than $450 if you look around. Let's see. Matter of fact, the prices on those. That's the prices. So the Prestige 510, and that is a little bit more than I paid for my Prestige 1. The WTX is $750. That's the most expensive one, and then the least expensive is the travel light. I'm betting I could get that for $400 or less. So just do your shopping. But we're coming up on Black Friday, Thursday.
Yeah. See if that's on sale.
That's right. All right, let's look at the last category here. All right, accessories. All right, so for, in this case, lights. I cannot stress enough, even if you don't night dive, you need a light. You need a good light.
Definitely.
Good BC light is at least.
And Rob mentioned, diving. He dives at a certain area here on Black Brush. It's not Black Brush, right? It's 4454.
Yep.
Okay. There's sometimes when you're diving, you'll find like a wall, you'll find like an overhang or something, and it will block the sun depending on your depth and everything, and it can get dark. Like he mentioned, you need a light. So it's always good to have a light. If you're not familiar with the area, and because he's dove there before, so he already knows he needs a light. But if you've never dove and don't have it, it's good to always have a good light.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now I've been really, really kind of jonesing to get a light that is of the type of the IST Sports Dolphin Tech. I've really been wanting to get one that's the canister. And then mounted to your hand.
Yeah.
So it frees your hand up, because otherwise these other two, the Icolite Gamma and the UK Vivid E-LED, those you actually have to have in your hand. You notice that those are basically BC type lights, but because the LEDs are so strong now, they're making like some super high lumen lights that are very, very small and compact. Now we have smaller BC lights that are attached to our BC, and the LED is just awesome because it just really cuts through. But they typically are a pretty tight beam, and so they're actually handy to have even if you're on a day dive or night dive. And let's say you do have your pistol grip type, or like the Dolphin Tech T20 24040. are times where you really do want to have a pretty tight light on something. You're looking in a cave or whatever, and you don't want the entire area engulfed in light where a wide throw pistol grip might really just wash everything out. So it's important to kind of think about that in addition to getting your lights. But these are all three very good brands. You know, it's interesting. IST used to be the great value in terms of dive equipment. That used to be the store brand kind of deal. But IST has really come a long way in producing a lot of really good quality stuff out there. So the prices on these, the Gamma, for being a little BC light, $120. The UK Vivid LED is $156, but look how much that canister light from IST is $855. Now, those are the kind of lights typically that are used by cave and tech divers. But I tell you, there's something about being able to have something like that just strapped to your hand, where you just are, you're just holding your hand out like this, like Iron Man or whatever. You're just being able to shine your light, as well as you're shining light. But if you're working with something and you are able to just have the light just shining right on your hand without actually taking the use of one of your hands.
You're right.
So good values there. So those are they had a much more exhaustive list of other things like travel bags and things like that. But those are the things that we most frequently look to purchase and that most people are looking to purchase.
Yeah.
So
for me, being the fact that I do like the night dives more, I would urge to invest, even though they're a little expensive, okay, but invest in a good underwater light.
Well, as a matter of fact, let us jump real quick into one of our favorite sites. More scuba.
Because not only, I mean, you can also use it as an everyday light if you need to. I mean, you don't have to worry about it, if it's raining or anything else. And some of them, even though I wouldn't suggest dropping them, I mean, they're shock proof.
Right.
So they're good. They're good lights.
Okay, so I'm looking at diverssupply.com, divers-supply.com. And I said, okay, let's look at lights, look at LED lights only. And, of course, they're all over the map. But you can get the Princeton Tech, which are really nice units. Little Princeton Tech LED BC light, $31.
Mm-hmm.
Not bad at all. And you can go up to the UK, the Underwater Kinetics ones, $74. Let's see. Princeton Tech Shockwave 2. I've got a variation of this that's LED, and it's awesome. You've seen it.
Yeah, it is.
And $51 and that's a pistol grip type. So you
that's not the LED one though, right?
Yeah. Yep.
That's the LED one?
Yes, that is the LED.
For $59.
Yeah, $51.19.
That's awesome.
Yep. Now, didn't you have one like the...
Yeah, that's the one that I have.
$142 for the LED version of that.
Yeah, mine isn't the LED version, and that one is a good light, but because...
It's kind of weird to hold.
Well, you can also change it to the pistol grip.
Oh, you can?
Yeah, because when you buy it, mine came with both attachments.
Oh,
I just don't have
cool.
the lantern.
That's pretty cool.
I use the pistol grip. The only problem with that light that I've encountered is that, and it's a very common thing if you do the reviews on it, the bezel tends to crack if you over tighten it.
Yep.
And it'll flood the light. They do offer the replacement at $50.
Yeah, I can't stress enough. Don't over tighten.
Use the silicone, little silicone grease on it, on the O-ring and everything else, and then just tighten that.
Oh, this is the thing that I'm seeing more and more on a lot of the smaller LED lights is the little the clip for your mask.
Mm-hmm.
You can attach it to your mask strap. So that's totally hands-free. Other than to turn it on.
How much is that?
This one's $18.87, but let me go back a page. They had this one the UK Mini Q40 LED with the mask strap, $51 in an assortment of colors.
See, that's the one that I have. The one that I found.
Yeah,
that's it.
I thought it was a longer one than that.
Does
it have the strap?
No, see, I think that's the thing. I think it fell off the
Oh,
mask.
that's why.
Yeah, that's why I found it.
That's what happened. Let's see.
But that has totally become.
Here we go. This one's probably put your eyes out. The UK C8, which means it uses 8 of the C cell batteries. The thing probably lasts forever. Yeah. With LED running 8 C size batteries, $127. Not bad at all. So that's pretty cool. So you can see the prices are not bad for decent LED lights. Now, obviously, you get what you pay for. So the higher the price ones typically have probably a lot more lumens to them. But I got to say, the batteries last forever. I can get typically a whole season.
Yeah.
Out of the batteries. Although I typically replace them every couple of dives, but just to be on the safe side. But with the LEDs, it just doesn't burn through the lights as much.
Mine was an LED. My UK light, it wasn't. It was just your standard Xeon.
Yeah. Those things get hot, and you have to make sure you use them in the water.
You have to put them in the water because they get hot. If not, you'll burn the light out. Yep. So the water actually keeps the lens cool. But I would actually get a whole summer with the batteries, and that's when we were doing a lot of night diving. So I would place them once a year.
Yep.
So it was pretty good.
Worthwhile purchase.
Yep.
Okay. As we wind down, I'm going to get just on a real mini soapbox, although I could really expound on this a lot. Our president has decided to write an executive order to suspend deportation of 5 million people here illegally. Now, of course, I do not believe it's constitutional. A number of much more learned constitutional scholars have said the same thing, and it's just so interesting that we're all observing that someone who is supposedly a constitutional scholar and who said repeatedly 20 some odd times over the last few years that he does not have the authority to do what he now says that he has the authority to do. And so it just angers me that we're basically saying, oh, it's okay, you came here illegally, we just come on board, we're gonna let you come out of the shadows and all that fun stuff. I'm like, you know what, I can't believe that it's so short-sighted to just let that happen. It's totally a political reason to do that. And that's a slap in the face to all those people who have been diligently following the process, waiting in line for their turn, spent the money that's necessary to do all the machinations that were required for actual legal residence and citizenship. It's a slap in the face of all those people. And I was looking at the details, and I was looking at, matter of fact, the Chicago Sun-Times kind of said, okay, let's break down what's going on here. So basically he said, I'm just telling Homeland Security, we're going to not really we're not going to deport any of these people unless they're criminals. Well, what's interesting is the way that it's phrased is, we'll put a low priority enforcement on low risk, law abiding illegal immigrants. And I thought about that. And I'm like, wait a minute. Do you understand what you just said? Law abiding illegal immigrants. Now, if you look up the definition of the word illegal, it means forbidden by law or statute. So what we're saying now is our president has decided to sign an executive order that says we're calling them law-abiding people who have done something forbidden by law. So how are they law-abiding? So I just, it's like saying, hey, you know what? You broke into my house and you're stealing all this stuff, but I'm going to forgive it because you folded my laundry. That's essentially what
And wash the dishes.
And wash the
okay?
dishes. That's essentially what he's saying. Is like, I know you broke into my house and you weren't supposed to be here in the first place, but you folded my laundry and did my dishes. I'm gonna forgive you. It's just no big deal that you broke into my house. I'm like, come on. So it's going to be interesting to see what's going on. I think there's a number of lawsuits that are going to happen. Some states have already said they're going to do something. A number of our congressmen are saying that they're going to take this to the Supreme Court. It will just be interesting to see what happens. So I don't see how this. I don't see how this helps the economy. One of the excuses, he tried to play the emotional tool and say, well, because right now the way this happens is we got, we're breaking up families. I'm like, how are we breaking up families? Why are they being broken up? Because some of the members are here legally. Some of the family members are here illegally. But how did the members who are here legally get here? They got here because they were brought over by somebody illegal.
Right.
And because of one mechanism that I absolutely believe that we need to change in our Constitution is, and it will take a lot of work to do, but I absolutely think we're at a point in our development as a nation to maintain sovereignty and security. We need to change the anchor baby thing. Because basically, we had that included as one of the amendments so that people who were brought over here as slaves and they had babies here, that they got to be counted as citizens. That's really the major part that drove that. Mm-hmm. That if you were born here, and especially if you were brought over here through no fault of your own, not that you came here illegally, you were brought over here as a slave and you had babies, guess what? They are citizens. Okay, that was what that was for. What that's been turned into is the exact same thing, the exact thing that is causing the situation that now we're granting amnesty to all these people for, because somebody came over here illegally, 9.1 months pregnant, dropped their litter, and said, "Oh, guess what? My baby is an American citizen." All because what we should do is have that altered, have a new amendment that says that you must now be a legal resident in order for your a child born here to be considered a citizen. In other words, you've got to be here legally. Mm-hmm. I don't even champion going so far as to say you must already be a citizen. I will accept as much as you are here legally.
Well, I agree with that, because that just means that they came through the front door.
Yes.
We discussed that last week. I'm neither on any of this. My whole thing is just like I mentioned last week. I don't have a problem with it as long as you do it the right way.
Yeah.
I mean, if you cross over the river, okay, and I understand things are rough over there. Things are rough here too, trust me. But to me, those people just need to go back, okay? They really do. They need to go back. Apply for the proper documentation, and yes, I know that it's time-consuming and that it takes a long time, and you gotta
yeah,
wait.
Let's focus on fixing that piece of it, but don't just say, meanwhile, y'all just keep coming in.
My deal is don't do legislation like that. You know what? Why don't you fix the broken stuff to make it faster? Speed up the process, because that's why these people are coming in illegally, is because they're tired of waiting.
Yeah.
They get impatient. They want to come over here, but they can't because it takes a year just to get all the documentation done.
But you know what? The other piece of all of this that angers me so much, because of course there were all these celebrations among largely the Hispanic community in various places of the country, that our president has announced he was doing this. I'm like, wait a minute. If people in Mexico and those who have come over here illegally, if you spent as much effort, time, and money to fix Mexico, then you wouldn't have to come over here. Mm-hmm. Fix your own country instead of coming over here and wanting to be in some cases, many cases, a draw on our system. Come over here because it makes sense for jobs or whatever. I have no problem with that. But I just get angry that well, it's because Mexico is horrible and this. I'm like, well, fix your own dadgum country first. Then it's a fair comparison.
Right.
Instead of saying, hey, you know what? I don't want to bother repairing my jalopy, so I'm going to come in here. I'm going to sneak inside your limo, which really it's not a limo anymore. But I'm gonna hijack your limo, which is essentially what's going on here. They're hijacking the limo instead of going back and, you know what? Fix, renovate, turn in your own car. You guys have the wherewithal. You have the people. It is, with all its other faults, it is a largely democratic republic, similar to the United States as far as constitutionally. So fix those things. Expend the effort to fix everything in your country first. That way, then you have a country that's on the same par as the United States. Then you can make a fair case. As like, I'm not just running away from something. I'm saying, you know what? All things considered, I have some opportunities in the United States that are better here than in Mexico, and but it's not for the lack of Mexico being a competitor. But no, it's not even a competition. It's not even a competition.
Nope.
So it just, I mean, I could go on all day about this, and I have on Twitter on many debates. But so anyway, I think our president has done something unconstitutional, and hopefully our elected officials will find a way to fix this. There's a right way to do this, and there's a wrong way. And I am absolutely convinced there's nothing that anybody in this world can tell me differently. I remain unconvincible that he did it the right way. He absolutely did it the wrong way. So, all right. As we wind down, let's hit some administrivia. Next Dive Club meeting, because we're coming up on the holidays. We're not going to do anything in December, but our next one will be 15 January at 7 p.m. at Rudy's Restaurant. We will have already had our first episode of the year sharing, so we better start working on our lists for movies.
Oh yeah,
get the popcorn ready.
That's right.
I've got Orville Redenbacher movie popcorn, movie butter.
Oh,
everything.
Hey, you know what? That kettle corn one you had last time
that was pretty
awesome.
Good.
Yeah, I remember I had walking pneumonia and I wasn't able to really enjoy it that well. But
make sure you stay healthy so you can enjoy that. So anyway, and I have posted the classes, the targeted or intended classes for next year. So here they are. First, you're first to see it. We have 23rd through the 26th of April. So you need to sign up the first week of April. Basically, all these, if you sign up the first week of that month, you'll be good to go. 28th through 31 May. 25th through the 28th of June, 23rd through the 26th of July, 27th through the 30th of August, 24th through the 27th of September. Now, somewhere in there, we're going to have our dive trip, so we may kill one of those classes if we can't get our trip lined up on an off weekend or off week from that. So, and also be on the lookout. We'll be trying to post some intended target dates for Balmaray trips since we didn't get to go at all this year. If you're interested in getting your tanks filled, you can go out to Broke Mill RV Park. Just talk to Mike McCarson. Give him a call at 830-719-2935. Just give him a call ahead so he knows you're coming, so he can make sure his system is fired up because you get the big Cascade system. So just make sure he knows you're coming so you can fill up those tanks. Make sure you have a current hydro and current VIP testing. Both Scuba Bob and myself are certified to do that. So you can let us know, and we'll be happy to check your tanks out and make sure that they're good to go.
We are the only two.
That's right. We are the only ones in town.
To do that. Yep. So if you need it, bring it on by.
And if Laughlin Air Force Base goes ahead with their idea to rent tanks, chances are they're not going to pay because they have such a high turnover of people there. Chances are they're not going to pay for somebody to get certified to do the VIP. So I imagine we'll get stepped up in our busyness with that. So, and as I mentioned earlier, a Pet's Wish, the local pet rescue here, is still desperately in need of volunteers as well as donations. So please look them up on Facebook and the interwebs. Their website, it's a Pet's Wish. Just look them up, and if you can help out in any way, shape, or form, it's desperately needed, especially volunteers, both morning and the evening. If you'd like to check out what's going on, just go visit our website, delriodiveclub.com. Or if you want to see the more immediate, interactive type happenings, you can check us out on Facebook. Just look for Del Rio Dive Club on Facebook. If you'd like to send us any direct messages, go through Skype. Look for TGWD, stands for Two Guys Who Dive. Ha ha ha! How clever is that? If you would like to chat with Scuba Bob, you can send him an email at scubabob821@outlook.com, or you can follow him on the Twitter. Just look for RS Garza 435. He's there all the time, always available.
Yeah, I don't very rarely comment on Twitter unless it's something that
slamming Microsoft.
Yeah, well, not even that. It's just
I've been doing more of that myself lately.
Yeah, I've noticed. But yeah, Twitter,
Yeah, check it out.
Check it out.
Give him some life out
there.
Please. Show him some love. Show him some love.
Please.
That's right. And also, if you'd like to follow me on the Twitter, just look for at Robert CFP. That stands for Ceti Fox Productions, if you weren't aware what that is. Or you can send me an email. I do not have a personal assistant. I sign all of these myself. I autograph my own books, if I had a book. Send me an email to robert.wade@setifox.net. Just a little bit of a heads up. If you're in the Del Rio area, mentioned a little bit about this. Living Water Sound, which is a contemporary Christian band that I'm a part of, we are gearing up for some Christmas concerts in the area. We've got one coming up on 14 December, the evening of 14 December, starting at, I think, 6:30. At Grace Community Church. Just come by there. It's free to the public. Living Water Sound will be doing a Christmas concert there. We're also working out dates to also be at the mall downtown in town. So we'll be doing the same setup there as well. We actually have guest members in the team for this, since I've been for the past year playing drums, and we wanted to get me back on keys for this stuff. Mirabella Maris, who is the drummer for our youth team, and also she's a percussionist for our adult team, but then she also sits in when Troy's out of town. She is playing drums with us for these gigs. And then Noah Jones, who is guitarist for the youth team and also guitarist on the adult team now. Still fairly new, but he's come along really well. And working with Tommy, our regular guitarist, they've really been working up some good stuff. And so the practice today was pretty awesome. As a matter of fact, just to give you a little bit of a hint of what we'll be doing, this is from last year. Living Water Sound doing the Trans-Siberian Orchestra version of Carol of the Bells. enthusiastic crowd there. So that's our approach at, and actually sounds even fuller now because now we have with Noah on additional guitar, so it lets us do some things that we couldn't do before. And Mirabella actually has a very good, for being as young as she has a very good feel for some of the nuances. If you listen to the actual Trans-Siberian Orchestra original of this, you're whining. Has some really cool stuff going on there that you hear when you hear them doing it, and she's picking that up really well. So we're excited for where that's going. So yeah, if you're in the Del Rio area, December 14th, go out to Grace Community Church, 6:30, I think. Love to see you out there, or and we'll post the dates at the mall that we'll be doing our Christmas concert as well. So have you check that out. And also, I'll probably be sharing with you dates for plays that the Upstagers are doing in 2015, because we got a full load, and I'm going to be much more involved this year than I was last year. I'll be directing a show that actually was one of the original cast members of when it world premiered here.
Oh, wow.
And I actually get royalties from the show because I wrote some additional music for the show.
Oh, wow,
yeah,
cool.
So I get royalties. Little old Del Rio, Texas. So I get some royalties every few months from the publishing company on that. The musical composer of the show, his parents came down to see the premiere. One of the other authors of the show, there's two guys who wrote the book. Where's that whining coming from?
They're over there.
What are you doing? Oh, they hear noises out there. There's two guys who wrote the dialogue, and then the guy who wrote the music and lyrics. One of the guys who wrote the book, he came down to see the premiere as well. And then we got to meet in Dallas the Greg Opelka, the musical author of the show, and I had sent him all of the music that I did for the show. Additionally, the new things that I did with it. And he liked it so much, he said, I'd like to just include that as part of the package of the show, and you will be listed in there, and you get the royalties. So now, any group that does the show, if they get the book, they get the script, it shows, history of how the show came to be, blah, blah, and then you see, here's the original cast, and we are proudly in there, and I get royalties from it. So
cool.
This will be kind of interesting. So now I'll be stepping out and directing the same show. And then we got a big musical, Nice Work If You Can Get It, that was done most recently, I think a couple years ago on Broadway with Matthew Broderick. So we'll be doing that show. I'll be auditioning for that. I'm hoping to get a significant part with that. Big musical, a lot of George Gershwin music, so it'll be very, very, a lot of music everybody knows. Yeah, so looking forward to that. So we'll be showing some stuff about that. And you can always go onto the Ceti Fox Productions YouTube page. I got a number of the shows that we've done, as well as you can find all of the previous episodes of Two Guys Who Dive out there, so you can see how far we've come.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, Troy had brought that up when we were talking about some stuff that we're doing at our church. He said, as you go into new technology and do new things, you add equipment, you learn more about how to do better with it, and you get more money that you can sink into it.
Right.
And he said, he mentioned, it was exactly right. I said, if you look back at the first episodes of Two Guys Who Dive and compare it to now, we're much more slick than we used to be. And even though we are still dealing with a number of technical issues, not the least of which is the software keeps going through changes. It's officially, by the way, the version we're using, as we wrap up here, the version we're using now is the official non-beta version 2.
Okay.
However, it's still got some problems that I've been sharing with the guys who wrote it. But it seems like they fixed one of the big ones that was actually causing problems with the last 3 versions, which was it not broadcasting. It would show, as we clicked on broadcast, it would show that it's broadcasting, but it actually wasn't going anywhere. So it looks like they fixed that problem. So not sure what's going on over there. So, all right. Well, that pretty much takes care of it for this week. John, appreciate you sticking with us and appreciate your comments. Hope you enjoyed the show. Hope your internet gets better.
Yep.
And we hope to see you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel on another exciting episode of Two Guys Who Dive. See ya.